the technology is there. There's no doubt that the technology part is, we're not leveraging the technology that's available today. We may get some more good news later, but just using what is out there today, there's such a huge gap between how technology is used inside the company and how it's used in the private consumer space. There's no doubt that we don't need any more to make progress. People is a complex issue, and processes are run by people. And they're run by people who adhere to the process, understand it. So I'd say the key is people. It's people, it's culture, it's people. So who are people? We have consumers, we have customers, we have regulators, we have humanity. We deal with water, we deal with environment. So people is the key. And when we are able to treat or consider all the people in a similar way, it means we got the process right. You know, being able to interact with employees and customers with the same paradigm means we got them.
There's three groups of people, right? There's people that embrace change. There's people that want to change but are afraid to, and there's people who sabotage change. And I think our job as IT or technology professionals is find the way to work with each of those independent groups of people to get the most out of them. And frankly, at the end of the day, if someone is sabotaging a change, then maybe not kill them, but move them aside. But look, culture changes, right? History doesn't change. Culture should change with time. And I think the challenge, somewhat related to people, is people become stagnant. People are comfortable with the technology that they have today. But that's today. That's, you know, November 14th, 2014. That's going to be old by the time we go upstairs for lunch. You have to work with the culture and instill that mindset of, great, but we have to continue to grow. We can't become, you know, complacent and comfortable with the way we are, because we are going to be dead if we don't compete in this space. And the world is changing, and you either change with it, change ahead of it, or get eaten.
Beyond the regulated industries, we work a lot with municipalities, and there are elected officials. They also place a lot of constraint because they believe that if you have a data center in their city, it creates jobs. Because they have no clue what a data center is. So when we sign a contract, we get a lot of push also to rematerialize the services, the data, and to create little islands and fragments. So,
it has changed, and I think it's going to continue to change, but maybe smaller increments. It's more tactical, or more strategic, I should say. Whereas in the past it was tactical because things weren't as stable. And now it's about increasing revenue, right, reducing cost, and being a partner with other parts of the company. And I don't say the business, and that's one pet peeve of mine. Oftentimes people in IT say, well, the business wants this, the business wants that. Damn it, IT is as much of the business as any other part. And you don't hear HR or finance or tax or audit or sourcing say, well, the business wants. What is the business? The business is everybody. So I'll get off my soapbox. But the point is, IT is there. IT needs to be an enabler. And yes, you're going to have marketing take a bigger role sometimes in the socially and in the consumer-facing world. But IT still is responsible for governance. It's still responsible for data security. It's still responsible for some of those core functions. I think that will continue. But I think the role of the CIO/CTO will continue to grow in strategic value, strategic importance. And you know, it starts in this room. And if people in this room don't believe it's an equal to everybody else, that's a pretty sad commentary. The days of, you know, being the guys in the long blue and white lab coats and walking around and no one knew what they do, that's over. Everybody knows IT. Everybody thinks they know more about IT than IT. And in some cases, that's true. So that leads to the question of, will there be a CIO and CTO in the next 5 years? And I would argue yes, because as screwed up as it is today with them, imagine how bad it would be without us. So, you know, it can only get better, right? But I do believe it's a long-term role. And I think it has made that transition from tactical to strategic and will continue to do so.
So I think the CIOs that will be successful are those that are the change agents that are truly driving digital business. So it's at the board level because it becomes fundamental to how value is created in the company and how the company is positioned and competes. It needs to lead that discussion. We all, looking around the room, I'm not being ageist, but I think we all lived through the BPR wars. We are going to go through a level of process change unlike that we've seen before. So to go into core processes inside these companies, we meet with several retail banks where the CEO just sort of squints his eyes and tilts his head 45 degrees and says, we currently have 200 branches, and we've done the analysis. When we go digital, we could probably cut those by 2/3 and actually increase our revenue per customer. And so the CIO needs to lead that transition. It's not just the technology, but they need to show the art of the possible. What's happening in other industries that are applicable to ours? What is the state of the art in our industry, and where can we be potentially behind? And how do we budget? How do we drive that? How do we get the skill sets? So I think that's on the CIO side. It's a big transition. I think the other is on the CTO. The Cisco presentation, in a world where we're going to have 50 billion IP-enabled computing devices within 5 years. That's massive change. And most firms don't understand those technologies. They don't understand how to instrument the industrial machine, how to deal with all the data, how to deal with the security implications that we're going to have. And so similarly, I think new levels of investment need to be made in the technology organization, and the CTO role will evolve as well.